Attached detachment, as some people on your planet have put it. Attached detachment. You are involved, you are engaged, but you know that you're not negatively affected by it just because you might be discussing something that might have been created from negativity. So you are detached in the sense of it having a negative effect on you because you know you're approaching it in a way that could be of benefit to many to find a resolution that works for all. So you are engaged, you are attached, but you are detached in the sense of it's not going to affect you unless you choose to be affected.
And how would you say that relates to the idea of the glass wall when you're observing things that appear to be in your reality, but you're actually seeing them through a glass wall?
It's a direct analogy of what we just described. The glass wall is another way of saying attached detachment. You can observe, you can help, you can comment, you can interact, but it's not going to touch you because you are detached enough to know that you're the one that makes the choice as to what affects you because you're affecting yourself. The only thing you ever feel is your own energy. And if you know that, that's the glass wall.
Okay. This person is asking, as a mother, what is the best way to introduce your teaching or a new perspective of truth to her children? They are raised in a Christian Bible-based school, and she doesn't know how to bridge this gap with them while she's still learning herself.
Well, again, as we have said, there are many things you can do with children that don't necessarily involve whatever kind of religion or faith they may choose to belong to or are being exposed to. And that is the idea of using your own creative imagination to create scenarios in a safe environment, simulations, if you will, where children can be taught the consequences of the choices they make because everything is interconnected. You can teach them that everything is interconnected, and with your creative imagination, create analogies and, shall we say, demonstrations of this, if you are imaginative and creative enough, in a way that they can understand that every choice they make has consequences because it connects to everything else, that you're operating with whole systems, that nothing is isolated, everything's connected to everything else. So if they can learn to make choices that are beneficial for all, for the whole, then they themselves will also be served. If they're just serving themselves, then they're cutting themselves off from the benefits of the whole. Teach them that they are as powerful as they need to be to attract whatever they truly need in life without having to hurt themselves or anyone else in order to attract that, in order to get what they need. You can teach them the formula in general in whatever terms and language they are willing to understand, and just make sure that anything that you believe is necessary for them to thrive in physical reality as a lesson is adapted to their excitement rather than trying to adapt their excitement to the lesson. Those things can allow them to mature into adults regardless of whatever ideas of spirituality, faith, religion, what have you, they may hold on to, because some of those things can serve them in positive ways if they use them that way. But the idea is to know that they are self-empowered beings who can grow up into mature, constructive, and positive adults that will benefit society and benefit themselves by understanding the consequences of the choices that they make, and therefore making beneficial and positive choices for themselves and for society.
Okay, and this person is a teacher of 10 and 11-year-old students and wants to know if these children are really a new species and what exactly does that mean?
It means their DNA alteration is slightly different from your DNA configuration, generally speaking. It means they have more access to more of who they are as a soul. It means they can demonstrate more and different abilities than past generations were capable of doing because the DNA arrangement that they came through with allows them to tap into higher frequency information and energies than past generations were capable of doing. And in that sense, they are a different species.
And this person is a member of a Reddit group for experiencers, and the person who leads that group is associated with Stephen Greer. And it seems very legit and conscientious. And The thought is that many of the people who have experienced encounters with ETs are what is called neurodivergent. Like in a room of 100 experiencers, 90% of them will either be autistic or have ADHD or both. Why is it that so many of them who have had close encounters with ETs are neurodivergent?
Because the soul knew that coming into physical reality would require an alteration of their focus so that they could, in a sense, not be so subjected to the general consensus reality and therefore would have attributes that would make them more open to receiving higher frequency information from different dimensional realms, therefore acting as a model or a symbol or a representation of what exists in all Homo sapiens that can open up and allow them to experience open contact more easily and more readily.
And I guess this is kind of connected. The idea that there are humans on Earth who have received genetic modifications by the Greys, and that makes them more compatible in certain ways with ETs.
Yes.
These people may also exhibit autistic traits and have trouble relating to other humans. Are these precursors?
No, precursors were not born on Earth. You may be preparers, but that's different. Preparers are Homo sapiens that have made a life choice to be involved in the ideas of teaching humanity how to be in the different altered states and learn lessons from different altered states and ways of presenting and communication that can prepare humanity for open contact. But precursors are actually extraterrestrial beings that were not born on Earth, that may walk among you in order to, shall we say, rub off on you in terms of their vibration and take notice of how many people are sensitive enough to notice that they are different.
And here's a new question. Do spirit guides place bets on the spirits they're supposed to be guiding through physical reality?
No, that's a human activity.
I've never heard that one before. Um, how does
I bet you haven't.
how does all that is know that it is only one? It is the only one. Is it
That is the
possible for
nature of all that is. There can be many versions of all that is, but then that still implies that there is an all that is of all that is. So, by the very definition of the way that we're phrasing that, all that is, inherently, its quality, one of its qualities, one of its abilities would be to know that it is the one.
Okay, so we have some questions, some ET questions. And before I do that, let's talk about a few current events. First one is the LA fires. Why did our beloved city of angels go up in flames? What lessons are we to learn from this tragedy?
Number one, I think many of you understand that it's connected to the changes in your climate because of what has happened in your environment that has allowed the idea of your environmental weather patterns to change in such a way as to make certain areas more vulnerable to different kinds of natural phenomenon, whether it be fire, whether it be flood, so on and so forth. Extremes are the result of the imbalance that has been created in nature. Climate change acts in different ways in different locations on your planet. Some places get drier, more susceptible to fire. Some places get wetter and more susceptible to flooding. Some places get colder and more susceptible to freezing. Some places get hotter and are more susceptible to desertification. So it's all about the idea of all the different variations becoming more pronounced and more exaggerated as you go through the idea of climate change, which is a natural cycle, but B, sped up by the technologies of humanity. What's going on now, most likely without the technological assistance, so to speak, probably wouldn't have happened for at least another century or two. But now you have sped it up with the idea of your technologies that are in many ways destroying the environment or imbalancing it. Number two, the idea is to, because of the new way in which you have to deal with your environment through climate change, to stop rebuilding the same way you used to. Learn new techniques, learn how to adapt. So don't just build what was there before that is easily destroyed. Adapt and build in new ways. Learn how to build with nature.
All right. And is there also a level of it that has to do with like anger? Is fire representative of anger or
For some people, it
purification
can, case by case basis.
Okay. And this person would like clarification when you said that the female will lead to open contact and the male to World War III.
We're not going to discuss that at this time.
Okay. All right. And let's see. So what you were talking about before with the idea of fire, it doesn't have what are some of the representations spiritually that fire has for humans on a collective level?
Acceleration, clearing out, rebuilding, starting from scratch, zeroing out, clean slate, purification. Those can be some representations of the idea of the experience of fire. But it can also, again, like anything, have positive and negative connotations. It can be that which is out of control. As you said, it can be the representation of anger, temper. So again, it can be many things to many people. You have to take it on an individual and perhaps sometimes even on a collective group basis as to what it may represent to different people that are going through those experiences and what lessons they are willing to learn.
Okay. And are there humans who have directly and extensively interacted with mantis beings and co-created hybrid children with them?
No.
And can
interacted with mantis beings? Yes. Created hybrid children with them? No. That is not the function of the mantis being, to be involved in the hybridization agenda in that way. They are the overseers of it. They are not participating in it in the way that the Greys are.
And do you personally have guides and angels that assist you like we do on Earth?
Everyone does. Every being does.
Can you tell us anything about your guides or your angels?
Not at this time. That is a subject for another time.
Okay. And you've made it clear that the hybridization program is very important for the soul growth of those who are involved. What would happen to those souls if they no longer had opportunities for growth provided by the hybridization agenda?
They would find opportunities in some other agenda, in some other place, in some other scenario. Souls will always seek what they need to grow. So it doesn't matter what the scenario is. This one happens to be an opportunity that is available on Earth at this time, but souls can go anywhere they wish to gain whatever they need as a lesson that helps them grow, that helps the universe expand.
But the reality is the composite of all realities, all truths, in what you may call a holographic fashion, overlaid, intertwined, interwoven, in a sense, laying in wait for a specific stimulus to bring to the surface of that general background any particular reality that you may choose to call a dimension of experience or a universal realm. Now, how you call those particular vibratory frequencies to the surface and allow yourselves to experience that particular reality is through your beliefs, through your attitudes, through the vibration you create yourself to be. Through, for all practical intents and purposes, the meaning you choose to give to the idea of a fundamentally homogeneous background. Through the meaning you create, do you then actually create the physical reality you experience? So in a sense, it is not so much the experience that gives rise to meaning, it is meaning that gives rise to the experience. When you project yourself into physiological reality and determine as a non-physical consciousness that you will create certain types of experiences, that is the meaning you are giving to that particular life you are creating, that particular aspect you are creating for yourself as a non-physical entity to experience as a limited, physically focused entity. It is that meaning, that overall desire, that then vibrates at a certain frequency and then calls out of the background vibration through a sympathetic synchronization all the circumstances necessary that represent the meaning you have injected into the general life theme or structure that you are about to live as a physical being. Is all of this making some sense so far? All right. Simply put, the idea is that all circumstances are neutral. The meaning you choose to believe, the meaning you choose to create in life, about your life, is what generates the particular types of circumstances you experience to reinforce and reflect and represent the meanings you are creating. Giving meaning is the actual act of creation itself. To give meaning to something is to create it into existence in your particular experiential realm. Nothing has built-in meaning. There are no inherent meanings in anything. All vibratory realities are simply a neutral set of circumstances in relation to one another, to some degree representational of a type of crystal lattice work that represents the overall holographic experience of all reality, of all creation. But the meaning that you generate within your attitude, the idea that you create within the being that you are, is what generates the type of frequency that then pulls out of the homogeneous background all the experiences that then represent the meaning of your life. Many of you, as you have discussed with us, go through life searching for the meaning of your life. But you see, your life is created simply by the meaning you give to it. So when you are searching for the meaning in that sense, you are chasing your own tail in many ways. The idea is to recognize, as we have discussed, that you have the power of conscious commandment, the ability to make decisions consciously that you know are decisions that represent the life you prefer to live. And then when you give your life that meaning, that is the style of life you experience. For the vibration that you are will pull out of that background all the circumstances literally, all the situations literally, all the relationships literally, all the objects literally that represent the meaning, the vibrational resonance, the harmonic you have given to your life. You have given to the circumstances that you have generated through the initial meaning that you had, which created the spontaneous creation of your life to begin with as a physical being, as a physical entity. So simply allow yourselves to know you are the definers, ultimately, of the life you experience. And as you define it, as you give it meaning, your life takes on only, and can only take on, the colorations and the characteristics and the flavors and the atmospheres of the meaning you decide your life will have. And that is what you will see reflected in the holographic background, the matrix of all universal probable reality. The idea we have also discussed is that everything is synchronicity. Everything is interconnected with everything else. This is a part of the holographic weave. Every single portion of the whole contains the total information of the whole. Every single area is representative of all creation. Everything is all here, all now. So whatever vibratory frequency you are on determines what aspects, what faces, what facets of the total reality that is right here that you will see and experience as your life. So the way to generate most easily the particular vibratory frequency of the life you prefer is to give your life the meaning you prefer to give it, and to cease to assume that the situations that occur in your life intrinsically come with a meaning that you may not like. There is no reason to play victim in this. There is no reason to assume that you are assigned a meaning in life and that you have to stick with that idea, that you have to live that out, even if it is a struggle, even if it is a suffering. When you decide what meaning your life has in that sense, what your life is to be represented by, what attitudes, what actions, what preferences, what knowledge, what applications you decide are pertinent to who you are, you give your life the meaning that it can then take its clue from and pattern itself after. Looking for the meaning in the events as they occur, in a sense, is after the fact. Give your life the meaning you prefer to give it, and it will conform in all aspects to the meaning you have decided it shall have. You all understand? Well, thank you very much. At this timing, allow us once again to extend to each and every one of you our utmost appreciation and joy in your willingness to interact with us, in your willingness to function as ambassadors to your civilization, and allowing me to function as an ambassador from our respective civilizations and the association of worlds. And in return for the gift of your sharing, I ask you simply now, how may I serve you?
Good evening, Bashar.